Welcome guys, we've had the Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying session and what a session we have had. And before I get into that, just some news ahead of the session. Max Verstappen confirms he will be staying at Red Bull for 2026. Kind of expected that a little bit after the Horner shift around. And also Fred Vasseur has been confirmed to sign a multi-year deal at Ferrari. Fred is the red in that seat. He'll stay there, clearing off all that sort of talk about potential Horner taking his seat and all that sort of jazz. So I think that's a really good move from Ferrari to tie that down. And let's just get to the qualifying session, because the qualifying sessions this year have been absolutely brilliant. There's been no two doubts about it. They've just, every session you're on edge. You just don't know who's going to nick pole position, and this was the surprise of the century. We'll jump into Q1. Alex Albon last in the qualifying. Horrible session for him in the Williams. I thought they'd struggle, but he really did struggle. His teammate was in P8 in that session, and he was 0.6 of a second of Carlos Sainz's teammate, so he'll be really disappointed with a really poor lap from him. Nico Hülkenberg, 19th place, has been out-qualified by his teammate again. Back-to-back weekends that's now happened. Esteban Ocon in 18th, same for him, out-qualified by Oli Berman. A poor session from him. 17th place for Pierre Gasly, and Yuki Tsunoda out in Q3, and you'd think he'd had another bad lap, but he was only just over a tenth and a half of his teammate Max Verstappen. It was that close in Q1, and it has shown to be that close Q1 that anyone can go out, and I think Yuki a little bit unlucky on that one. The Red Bulls have really struggled around this circuit, as we'll see where Max Verstappen had lined up. But the surprise of that session was the Aston Martin boys. They've just rocked up into qualifying and been absolutely nowhere really in the free practice sessions. And Fernando Alonso, with 5 minutes to the end of that sort of Q1 session, pulled in a lap when he was all on his own, and P2, a mega lap, just 20 thousandths of a second off Oscar Piastri, who led that session in the end. Fernando Alonso second and Isaac Hadjar third. And then we got into the Q2 session where it was a bit of a wet start. Everyone's sort of a little bit panicking, apart from Max Verstappen and their team sort of saying, don't worry guys, the best of the qualifying Q2 session will come at the end, so don't worry about the rain too much. But Kimi Antonelli out P15. He was P11, got a lap deleted, so that dropped him down to P15. Franco Colapinto P14. I think that was one of his better sessions, out-qualifies his teammate. I thought the Alpines would do a little bit better here, because it's not about horsepower, it's, tight twisty circuits with only 50% full throttle. I thought the Alpines might fare a little bit better, but they haven't at all. Carlos Sainz 13th, a better qualifying session for him, but I think that Williams is dropped out of that sort of top 10 battle at the moment, haven't they? They have really mixed races. Belgium, Albon was brilliant, but they've not really qualified well here. Lewis Hamilton in P12, he'll be the most disappointed, because Ferraris had looked strong all throughout FP, and well, the man on pole will show that it's a really disappointing session for Lewis Hamilton. Again, just sort of complaining again. It's happened again, not really sure what he was referring to, but I think it was really the rear tyres. It's been one of his issues. And they just seemed to go off towards the end of that session, because it looked like he should have comfortably been into Q3 when you looked at the FP session pace. He was slower than Leclerc, but nowhere near where he qualified, so a disappointing session for him. He's only 15 thousandths to P10, so despite a poor lap, he wasn't a million miles away. Oli Berman in 11th place, 7 thousandths off P10, and if he finishes here, he'll break a record of finishing in P11 the most times consecutively ever, so that's a record he probably doesn't want. He'll be hoping he can nick a point tomorrow. The star of that session again was the Aston Martins, proving that their pace is something to be really considered. Lance Stroll up in P3, Gabi Bortoleto with a brilliant P10, a mega job from him. He's done it again this weekend, so he'll be hoping to just capitalise and keep some points. Lando Norris led the way from Oscar Piastri and then Lance Stroll. It's kind of what we expected. The two McLarens, they were so strong throughout every practice session, dominating 1-2, and then we had Leclerc in third, and that went west when we got to Q3, because we'll start with the surprise man, the man in red, Charles Leclerc on pole position. How did that happen? It's strange how that happened. It was A complete 180 on the wind front is what sort of scuppered the McLarens, and that meant every turn of what they'd gone into was something different to what they'd expected. And Charles Leclerc was, absolutely nowhere. It looked like he was squeezing through in Q1, Q2. The Ferrari is not really looking like that. They'd lost that FP 1, 2 and 3 pace. I mean, Charles Leclerc looked comfortably to be taking third at worst, really. He was, really, really good in the free practice sessions. But when you look at his Q1 and Q2 session, he was nowhere. But he pulled out an absolutely genius lap to take pole position. He was the most surprised out of everybody, considering how bad his Q1 and Q2 sessions. But what a lap. Absolutely brilliant to see Ferrari finally get a pole position. And Charles Leclerc, he is that pole master. We know he's got it in his locker, and we've not quite seen it for some time. He pulled off a tremendous job. I mean, it was so close from P1 to P5 as a 10th in it. So, the small, fine margins count, and he got a really good, clean lap. And, pole position. Throws the whole race wide open, in my opinion. Oscar Piastri lines up in second. He beat his teammate. It was really going to be a battle between the two McLarens. He's beaten his teammate, but, Lando Norris lines up in third. And will Lando be maybe happier? Potentially. He's on the cleaner side of the grid. How much will that affect things here in Hungary? It's not the dusty track it used to be, so it was clear once upon a time you'd want to be on that clean side of the grid in Hungary. That has kind of changed even around numerous tracks, so he'll be hoping he can get into the lead of into turn one ahead of Leclerc, and if he can keep him and the Ferrari in between him and Norris, it'll be a brilliant result for Oscar Piastri. That's what it's all to play for. Massive, important turn one tomorrow. Lando Norris, like I said, in third place. He'll be, I can't say he'd be massively disappointed. He wasn't miles away. It was only fine margins between them guys up at the front, so just kind of didn't really go his way, and it could easily have done. Small differences again. The surprise as well, though, George Russell, brilliant lap from him, and the cooler conditions came. The Mercedes looked like they might spring the surprise, and he might be the man on pole position. Didn't quite do enough. Fernando Alonso in P5, just a 10th off pole position. They've been absolutely nowhere. They were miles off last time out in Belgium, and to be a 10th off pole, I think you can be massively happy with that. I mean, he didn't take place in the FP1 session for the back issue with his carrying an injury, and until he out-qualifies his teammate again. He's done that, this is the 26th race in a row now. He's out-qualified his teammate even with an injured back. Fernando is an absolute master, and we're hoping that he can carry that pace into the race tomorrow. Lance Stroll in P6, right behind his teammate, a strong showing from the Aston Martin boys. Gabi Bortoleto with a brilliant P7. What a job from him. It was only half a tenth or 3/10 off pole position. Max Verstappen in P8. He was 3,000ths off Gabi Bortoleto, but a real struggle around here at the Hungaroring for Max Verstappen. Just never got on top of the car at any point in the weekend, and you normally know Max can pull off something mega in qualifying. It just didn't really come for him here. Liam Lawson in 9th place and 10th place for Isaac Hadjar. I think they'll be disappointed because they look like they had the pace to beat the two Racing Bulls, to beat Max Verstappen. Didn't quite pull it off in qualifying, but a strong showing from them two up in the top 10, and it should be. I'm really looking for this race tomorrow. Let's hope we get some action. There is potential mixed conditions and rain, and with that lap from Charles Leclerc, can he lead into turn one? Can he steal a win for Ferrari at the Hungaroring and surprise everybody? How McLaren are not on pole position is beyond probably everybody on that grid. They were comfortably 3-4 tenths of a second faster than everybody, all the way up into that final Q3 session where it's just gone horribly wrong. They were fastest in FP1, 2 and 3. It was just dominance from them, but it hasn't happened when it's counted, and could that put them in trouble for the race tomorrow? Crucial battle, like I said, for the two teammates, especially down into turn one advantage. Oscar Piastri's in P2, George Russell, and we've got the two Aston Martins behind. I think there'll be a great battle between them three. Gabi Bortoleto, he's got a hard job to keep Max Verstappen behind. I don't see Verstappen being so poor in the race. He's normally really good. but let's see how that pans out for him. Lewis Hamilton in a quick car, out of position in P12. What can he do there? I'm not expecting the sort of same miracles that we've seen from him in Belgium, but you just never know. With mixed conditions and the right call, anybody could end up anywhere. So it's set to be a brilliant race for the Hungarian Grand Prix tomorrow. I cannot wait for the action to get going. Watch out for the race review. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on that qualifying session. I was absolutely buzzing. I predicted a Piastri, Norris 1, 2 and Leclerc 3rd. Well, before I'd seen any of the F3 sessions. Mind you, watch the my predictions and review preview of Hungary for that. And well, yeah, Leclerc just pulled off a mega one out of the blue. Absolutely tremendous job from him. I can't wait for the action to get going tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.